What's up, Magnetic Men Club? We are back here on another Friday with you guys. Finally, it's been a crazy holiday season for us, and we're trying to get through it just like everybody else. And there's obviously been a lot of business on this side. We're actually working on putting a lot of new stuff out for you guys. We've got a whole bunch of new courses coming your way. So make sure that if you guys haven't yet, go and join our free community. It's completely free. We've got a confidence sprint course in there for you guys to take advantage of. And then there's another one launching this next week. All on empowering questions, like how to ask people questions that don't just lead to yes or no answers, how to have more empowering conversations and that kind of stuff too. So lots and lots of good stuff coming your way. Make sure you guys go and join that. It's completely free. It's our gift to you. And the topic for today, we're going to be talking all about life after divorce. Obviously, this is something that we all face at some point in our lives. I mean, it happens to almost everybody in today's day and age. It's just that you've seen the statistics. Most marriages end in divorce, and a lot of us are going to end up going through this at some point. So we wanted to talk about how to survive divorce. What does life look like after divorce? And how do you get through this as unscathed as you possibly can? Yeah. I'm Chase. I've got my good friend Jerod here.
Hey guys, Jerod here. Hope everyone's well. If you can't check me out, got my new hat on. I'm having what we call a bad hair day. So I'm just throwing on the hat. I actually got this down in North Carolina, and I'm not a hat guy. I really not. But this one, it's kind of growing on me. Most of the time, the hats don't fit me. This one actually fits me pretty well. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to rock a hat for a little while. Yeah. But as far as the divorce, yeah, man, I've been through a divorce. A lot of the guys that coach around obviously have gone through a divorce, or they're in the stages of a divorce. And most people, the statistics don't lie. Most people, if they get married, first marriages, it's about a 50-50. I would actually say it's probably higher than that. And you get into second marriages and thirds. And you think you would get it right during your second marriage or third. The statistics are actually worse off for you getting into those marriages. And that's for a whole other topic, a whole other video. I think I touched upon it on other videos on why that is. Yeah. But there are differences between men going through a divorce and women going through the divorce. And one of the videos I talked about is my own personal experience on me going through a divorce. And literally kind of what pretty much most men face. Our obstacles are definitely different. But nonetheless, if you're a woman watching this, there's no takeaway on that. I mean, you're still struggling. You're still kind of dealing with the dissolving that marriage as well. But, being a men's channel, we're really going to hone in on what men face more on this. But I definitely am going to create a sprint course on this probably in the next couple of weeks. So you guys, that's all going to be free in our new course. And then we'll probably go into more depth because this is a big one. Divorce for a man is a lot of it is ego. It's ego driven. The fact that you're going through a divorce changes a man in pretty much all realms of his life. From I'm a married man, which society views a married man as more responsible. Now you're divorced, i.e. for whatever reason, now you're not as responsible or you're single. And so it does change a lot when you're married, from a man going from a married man to separated to a divorce. And that's what we're going to talk about here today. And obviously Chase is married, so he's never been through this. But it's probably good medicine for him to kind of look into, because you never freaking know these days.
You got to know what to prepare for, right?
You got to know what to prepare for. And the biggest one that I didn't prepare for, I mean, nobody prepares for a freaking divorce. I mean, this is why we have channels like this, to kind of give you some insight. The best cure from getting a divorce is to never get married in the first place. So that's the first one. But the biggest thing I got away from it is, man, like, normally men who are married, you merge your friends, but because women are more social, because they're better at communicating, half of them don't stop talking. They're very good at communicating. They have a better social circle than we do. And oftentimes we kind of latch onto their social circle. I'll give you an example. When I was in the military dating my wife, or my ex at the time, my social circle was different. I was military guys, but they were away. I was in New York bouncing around, so they were away. I met obviously her sister and her boyfriend at the time, and you start meeting each other's friends. But because I was away for so long, who I became friends with were the boyfriends of her girlfriends. And some of my high school friends were around, and they had girlfriends. And so you all kind of get together. You have different, kids and different events, and you sort of merge. What I didn't realize going through my divorce when it first came out that we're getting separated is my guy friends sort of were told or asked not to talk to me from their girlfriends. And they basically said, oh, he's fine. Like, they didn't want to get in trouble from their wives because they're bitches. Most of them were bitches. They were. I mean, I tell them all the time, you completely run by your woman. It's pathetic. But they did not want contact with me at all. And not really many of them checked up on me. They were afraid to reach out to me. And so I lost my social circle literally overnight. I really didn't have guys to talk to. Obviously, I didn't have my wife at the time to talk to. And so that social circle, you think you don't need, but you do, especially when you have those nights. When I didn't have my kids, it was very quiet at the house. It was you can only go out so much. You can only do so many things. It's like you're sort of forced to deal with that silence. And so for me, I was not prepared for that at all. Anybody knows me, I'm always on the go. I always got shit going on. I do not like downtime at all. And when you have downtime added with nobody around, that was very hard for me. Now I love it.
It's like a personal hell, right? Like when you start first dealing with it. Yeah. Especially after the whole family life and stuff too. Cause like women are a lot more vocal about that stuff too. Like usually if she asks you for a divorce, she's been thinking about it for a long time. Sure. Like she's probably been thinking about it for a year, 2 years, all the way back when. And she already decided a long time ago that it was over. Like she was just waiting for that last straw to kind of break the camel's back, and she was just going to let all hell roll loose. And like she's been thinking about it for months on end. She's been talking about it with her parents, with her mom, with her friends. She's been talking about it with the girlfriends. Guys don't do that stuff. Like guys, they don't go and complain about every single thing in their life to other guys. Most of the time, we're pretty quiet about it. Most of the time we just want to get away from it all, and we just want to break and relax and that kind of stuff too. So it's just not something that we talk about. And even when we see one of our friends going through it, we feel bad for him and we want him to overcome it. We wish for the best for him, obviously, but like most guys just don't have great advice for it.
Right. And also, like you said, if you know it's coming, you can prepare. And so because women initiate 70% of all divorces, and because they have prepared for maybe 6 months, a year, 2 years, however long they knew, they had an exit. And so they're able to emotionally prepare, certainly financially prepare, close girlfriends, close friends, probably a guy in the background waiting. It's usually
absolutely, yeah.
Usually what's happening. So
they already moved on. Like it's already happened for them. Like they already moved on before they even brought it up. You're the last person to find out. Always.
You're the last person to know.
And so,
yeah.
Like that's the biggest thing is like she's been preparing for this. She's been moving money across accounts. She's been locking you out of things as she goes. Like she's doing all this stuff in the background.
Yeah.
And you're going to be hit with it. And that's just what's going to happen in most cases. Like only in 30% of cases do men actually initiate the divorce, because most of the time men, they want to make it work. They want to make it work as long as they can. They don't want that hole in their lives. They don't want to feel like everything's shattering around them. They don't want to feel like they've lost everything in their life, because it's more than just half your stuff. That you lose all your friends. You lose all the respect and stuff that you got from other people, just like Jerod talked about too. And so the thing is you lose so much more than you would think. And in most cases, men just aren't going to initiate that. A lot of the time they'll stay in miserable relationships for years on end just because it's easier. It's just easier to stay there. It's just easier to do that. It's easier to deal with what you know rather than face the mystery and all that stuff too. Because a lot of men aren't self-sufficient. They're not very good at being self-sufficient, but yeah.
Yeah, no. And another video that just dropped, I guess, yesterday or the day before, talked about this on the loyalty aspect, because men and women are loyal to very different things. And this stems from, or a condition of this is divorce, because so what happens is men are loyal for the most part. Now, I'm not saying all, but I'm saying a large majority, we're loyal to our commitments. We're loyal to our word. Women are loyal to their feelings. So when their feelings change in a relationship, when something happens and they don't have the love that they used to have for you, then they lose the commitment for you. And then this is where the divorce happens. And this is why guys get blindsided a lot, because we're loyal to I do. We already said I do. To death do us part? Yeah. You might not like her very much. You might not be having sex very much, but you're still loyal to the relationship. It's like the military. When you give the oath to your country, it's not sometimes, if I feel good and the war is coming, yeah, I think I'll do it. It's you're pledging your life for your country. And so men, that's our loyalty. When we say we do, when we say these things, we don't freaking need, the government coming down. They're going to come down on us anyway with the stupid attorneys and the freaking judges. They're going to come down all barrels on you. They're just the gun, but we don't need that. Women, when they have this change of feelings, then their loyalty goes with that. And it's absolutely true. I know the women are probably screaming right now, but it's 100% true. So that's another thing you have to understand is this is why men kind of lose. They like, oh my God, I'm getting a divorce. When the hell did this happen? You weren't maintaining, you weren't dating her, you weren't talking to her, you weren't keeping that energy, that relationship alive, which keeps her emotions at certain level, which keeps her engaged in the marriage. A lot of guys, sadly, after marriage, they sort of just let themselves go. It's just, hey, I said I do. This is great. I don't need to do anything else. And because they don't understand what women are loyal to, they think women are loyal to the exact same thing. Oh, well, we got married. No, it's on the condition of what can you provide to me. And I just I'll do a video on this on, love has nothing to do with a relationship. A relationship is once there's an expectation, you do these things, I do this thing, that's a relationship. Love has nothing to do with it. Once a man stops doing these things, the relationship now becomes a burden to the woman. And then this is why she leaves. Her burden actually becomes her emotional change. She goes, I don't need this crap. I have another child, basically. And then she loses respect and then she leaves.
Right. I think that most commonly, that's probably the biggest issue too, is the fact that a lot of men, we're not talking to everybody. Obviously, it's not everybody. It's just most men, when they're in this situation, they kind of stop doing things for themselves. Like they get used to her doing the laundry. They get used to her doing all the cooking. They're like, okay, well, I'll go do the yard work. I'll go and make sure that I take care of this. I'm the maintenance guy. If anything breaks, you call me. Sure. And they just start to embody those roles. The problem is like a lot of men just stop doing things for themselves. Like they get to a point where they're just content in their lives too. And they just like, they're living the family life. So they stop going to the gym. They stop going out with friends. They stop doing their laundry. They stop doing any cooking. And so they become less self-sufficient over time. And that's the biggest issue they face once they're faced with that relationship ending. Like, okay, well, now I got to do all this stuff for myself. They didn't realize how much they weren't doing for themselves. And it's the fact that you just stop doing that stuff. A lot of it largely is the reason why the relationship even failed in the first place. And this is stuff you've got to get on top of if you don't want your relationship to fail.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, another part of that, I know it seems like when we do these videos and there's always a burden of performance on a man. And fucking yes, every day you got to perform and you got to execute. And when we say you got to do this and you got to do that, man, it's like almost checking a box. You can have a couple bad days, but you can't have a lot of bad days in a row. Women, right. they kind of get away with certain things, but men have that burden of performance every day. And that's also a function of marriage. There's a lot of shit a man has to do in a marriage that I don't know. Like I see it, like I see older couples married and I see younger couples married, and I'm not making a value judgment. For me, I'm just not getting married again. There's just no point in it. But it seems like there's this yin and this yang that happens. And the younger couples, the guy does what Rich Cooper says, a death by 1,000 concessions. He starts changing, and he actually is a yes man for the relationship, and he'll do anything Princess wants. And eventually what'll happen is she gets tired of that. You become malleable. You weren't the person that she fell in love with. And it's her fault because she wanted you to change, but it's also your fault because you changed.
That's exactly it. Yeah. You didn't hold your frame.
You didn't hold your frame. And I see older couples who've been married 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And it's almost like they came to an agreement where he might have had very strong boundaries, very strong frame, but he has changed for the relationship. And I just see most of the time they're not really happy. They say they are. They put a big smile on their face, and they're just waiting for death. Basically, they're
like it's just like something like out of On Golden Pond or something like that, right? Henry Fonda and all that.
Very few have a very amazing relationship, but most don't. And I'm not advocating for divorce. I'm not. If you're married and you're happily married, God bless you. But if you're gonna go through a divorce, if you're thinking about going through a divorce, there's lots of things that you need to do to prepare. And because women are very good at, because they're the ones who usually draw first blood, they've had that 6 months, or they've had that year, they've had that 2 years. You need to start seeing those signs. You need to start seeing what he's starting to do that, because something's about to go down. And you need to start to prepare. I wasn't prepared at all.
And so that's a critical point in all of this. And I think that that's something that we really need to cover in depth is like, what signs are you watching out for? What exactly does she start doing that's really going to kind of tip you off to, oh, something's not right here?
Yeah. I mean, I can just rattle off a shit ton, but really a lot of it is her going out with the kids by themselves, maybe where you used to kind of do like play dates, or maybe you used to go to the parents, or you used to go here, whatever. She's kind of just not including you anymore, not asking you. Now, that might just be a function of you're always busy, but if you were always included and then sort of it's not anymore and she's not even including you, that's something to just kind of look out for. The second one is there are no pictures of you at all on Facebook, on Instagram at all. There's zero pictures. There's pictures of her and the kids. There is no pictures of you at all. There's not even a relationship status. It just says no relationship when you're fucking married. So those things, if you start seeing that changing a lot, you got to be like, okay, something's going on. Another one is, she's just going out. Maybe, kids are in bed and she's like, hey, I'm going to go out with the girls, and it's happening more and more. And she's looking really good and she's going out and you're like, what the hell? So there are definitely clear signs that, and the other one too, really, is she's starting to shorten her sentences with you. She's very short with her words. She might even be very sharp with her words. She might even be putting you down a lot more, like you fat bastard or whatever. Maybe you are a little overweight or you're lazy, you don't do anything. She's starting to resent you. And what you can feel resentment.
She's trying to put that distance between you. Like she's trying to wedge it as much as she can because she doesn't want to feel anything for you. She's done with it. She's checked out. She's already made up her mind. She's just there because she has to be there at that point.
Yeah, so a lot of them are very good at making you feel like you're the bad guy in the situation. And maybe you are, but most of the time, again, they know when it's about to go down. And so they're going to amp up like, oh, I can't deal with this guy, And maybe there is another guy. Most of the time, guys, you got to understand there is somebody else in the background. They might not be full front, but there is somebody else. Women don't just drop and leave. They just don't. There's somebody waiting.
It's gradual.
Yeah.
So that's the thing too, is like that she starts imagining other scenarios. Like she starts imagining herself, okay, what does it look like if I'm on my own with the kids? I'm Miss Independent. What does it look like if I go get with this guy over here and he's stepdad now? And like they start building these realities up in their head. And so they just start to roll with it. And then they really want it. They start to really want that other life. And you're the guy in the way now. Like now you're the wall. And she's got to get through you. Yep. And so she starts being really passive aggressive. She starts to pick fights for no reason. She starts to be really irritable with every single thing. And she just wants distance between you. She's cold. She goes to bed early. She doesn't spend any time watching any movies with you. She doesn't want to spend any time with you at all. And as soon as you start to try to spend time with her, as soon as you start to try to go out with her and the kids and do things, she's resistant to it. She'll make up excuses. She won't do it. She doesn't want to do it even when you try. And that's when you know there's a real problem because she might get distance for whatever reason or another. But as soon as you start to try to close the gap, she's going to move even farther away. And that's your dead immediately tip off that she's thinking about something else.
Yeah. So, I mean, when we're coaching guys on this or even just talking to guys and they start bringing it up, like, dude, that was 6 months ago. Yeah, she's been planning this for a while. And most guys are completely oblivious to it because, again, we don't pay attention. Or you should. You should be paying attention, but we don't. We figure, we got home. I paid the mortgage. We just bought a car together. How could she do this? Or we just went on vacation. 6 months later, 6 weeks later, she filed for divorce. None of that shit matters. There's clear signs that she's about to make an exit. And we gave you some. There's probably a zillion more. Sex dries up. That's another really big indicator that something's going on. It could be medical, but most of the time it's something else. Like she doesn't like you anymore. She doesn't respect you. That happens. So when these things happen, she already probably has an attorney or has legal advice. Maybe she hasn't engaged this person yet, but she's getting advice someplace. Move money. Don't merge your accounts. Shit's about to go down. And that's not so much that happened specifically in my divorce, but when it did happen, we had that loss of friends, that those people that I thought I could talk to, I couldn't. Obviously, the families, your in-laws and all this, they completely hate you out of the blue. It's like, dude, we're just getting divorced. I didn't freaking murder anybody. It's like.
Well, that's the worst part of it too, is the fact that like for men going through a divorce, like divorce is so much harder on men than it is women. And it doesn't matter how it was initiated. It doesn't matter who it was initiated by. It doesn't matter how it all came to be. It's so much harder on men than it is on women. And it always will be. And it's just how it is. It's just the nature of it. Between the court system being on her side and between everybody else being on her side usually too, because she's more social. That's usually the case.
And every other guy that has wanted to get in her pants are now on her side.
Oh yeah, everybody's on her side. Everybody's validating everything for her.
Yeah,
and so that's usually just what happens. And so men end up feeling really alone. They end up feeling really isolated. They end up feeling like nobody's on their side. They have nobody to talk to. They have nowhere to turn. They can't do anything. I've heard this time and time again from people that we've coached, people in the program. I've heard it from other men in my life, because obviously I've never been through a divorce myself, but I've talked to a lot of people that have been through divorce. I dealt with it a lot when I was a kid with my mom and everything that. Man, I've seen it as an outlier. I've never gone through it personally, so I can't say exactly what these guys are feeling. I just know what they've told me. And I know that, like I said, the biggest thing was isolation. Like, they just felt completely alone. They felt like nobody was there. Nobody was in their corner. They were all on their own with this stuff. And so they lose their drive. They lose their motivation. They stop going to work. They stop trying to go to the gym. They stop with their hobbies. They completely just start to turn to substances and stuff too. They start drinking a lot more. They start smoking a lot more, that kind of stuff too, just to deal with it. They're just tired of the lonely isolation. They're at home again, making dinner alone again. Now they got to turn on the TV and watch the stupid bullshit on the TV again. And it's like, they're just alone. There's a lot of downtime, just like you talked about. Yeah. And that leaves men feeling a certain way about things, right? And that's why support groups for men, especially divorce support groups, are an extremely critical part of this. Like, I don't care if you've never been a part of support group or anything like that in the past. You need to join a support group if you're going through a divorce. You need other men around you who are going through the same stuff, because they'll keep your head on straight.
Absolutely. And join ours. I mean, like I said, you can talk to me. I've made every mistake, not every, but I made a lot of mistakes during my divorce. I certainly got into drinking a lot more, especially those nights where there was nobody to talk to. I didn't really want to go out. I started going out, but I started drinking more. Never really got into drugs. So that was never really a problem, but didn't go to the gym as much as I used to. There was about a 6-month lag. Thankfully, I did start paying for coaching. The first coach I paid for, it was only like maybe six sessions, because I wanted to get back out there dating, and it was so long. Like, these dating apps were out. I had no idea about a dating app. There were none at that time. So dating apps came out. Of course, I was bald. I'm bald still, but I got into what's called scalp micropigmentation. That actually led through the divorce, through upping up my own image, which helped boost my confidence. Another company that I have, that I run. But it took about 6 months of darkness, and I paid some people to kind of help pull me out. We're not advocating for you. You don't have to pay us per se for our groups. They are free. But I have realized, in any time that I want extreme action in my life, I pay people, because now I'm invested in it. So I knew that for me, if anything's free for me, I'm probably not going to do it. I've coached people for free, and they didn't do a frigging thing I suggested. When I started charging them, bam, now they're doing it, because there's money invested. Now they're thinking. So I paid people.
There's commitment on every single side of it. Like, every time I paid for coaching, I was happy. Like, $10K, okay, happy to spend it. Yeah. Tell me what I'm missing. Tell me exactly what I need to do to focus on to get from right here to right there in 3 months instead of 3 years. And so that's the thing, is like, you're really just shortening that gap. Yeah, you're removing a lot of the pain, because now you don't have to go try this or try this or try this. You just get somebody there who's tried all that already, and they'll just tell you exactly what to do and what to avoid, and immediately get you from where you want to be to where you are. And like I said, that's the thing. It's like, you have to pay somebody for that, because one thing, you want them to be invested in you, but you also need to be invested in the situation too. As soon as you put money into it, you're going to take it seriously. You're going to use it. You're going to make sure you're getting the most out of it.
Yeah, like when we do our discovery calls and stuff, we can tell. But first thing I ask a guy typically is, if you're really serious about turning your life around, I'm going to give you an offer at the end of this. And some of them are very receptive. They get it. Some of them, they just want the free stuff. And it is night and day. The guys who just want free stuff, all they're doing is listening to information, and they're not creating action.
They're not taking action. Yeah.
They're not taking action. But anyway, so I did 6 months, and I was a creeper. She started dating somebody. I kind of wanted to know who he was. I'm driving by my old house and I'm still paying for. I see a car. I did all the weird shit. And then I actually, like I said, I paid somebody, and it got my confidence back up. I started dating, and then I realized, wow, I'm actually pretty good at dating. And I went the other way. I became a whore for a while. Don't advocate for that either, but I got married very young, and I kind of missed that whole dating thing. So I kind of got that out of my system. And so there are those extremes where you've been married for so long. Some guys will go to the opposite end and be Mr. Partier and all this and make a fool of ourselves. And we don't want you to do that either. We want you to heal from the divorce. That's the other part of the coaching. Another coach I hired specifically on the inner work, on that inner dialogue I was having with myself, because I didn't have that social network. So I had that, and that helped me out more than, dating and relationship coach, working on the inner stuff. And you need them both. And so when I really kind of realized for me why I got a divorce, and that kind of forgave myself that, yes, there was things I could have done better. Of course, there were things she could have done better. Realizing this is just life. It happens. Do better the next time in other relationships, and making the commitment to myself that, I don't specifically need one person to make me whole. I'm whole by myself. And that's the problem with a lot of people that go through a divorce. They have this fairy tale idea, and then I'll get off topic here, but they have this fairy ideal, and even people getting into a relationship, that there's these two halves, and these two halves make a whole, and it's this fairy tale and dust and unicorn shit all over the place. That's not reality. Reality is you should be a whole person by yourself, and she should be a whole person by herself. And then when you come together, whether it's in a marriage or in a relationship, you're two whole people. Neither one of you need each other. And that's what the inner work that I coach on as well, but that's what the inner work taught me, is you got to be whole yourself.
Exactly. That's the thing that most men are missing. Most men are out there.
That I would say 98% of men, and a lot of women too. That's the biggest key that they're missing, because they have this idea that my person is out there. No, you're your own person. You're absolutely your own person.
They don't know who they are. Like right. They don't know who they are on the inside. They don't even know what that means when you tell them, like, you don't know who you are. It's like, what does that even mean? How the hell do you find out who the hell you are? Yeah. It's not super obvious, right? That's why it's inner work. It's not obvious. It's not on the surface. It's kind of hidden to us. It's inside. It affects us more than we would like to imagine. But at the end of the day, it's just not obvious. Like, we're just not sitting here sorting through our thoughts. Is that the right thought to have? Is that a positive thought? Is that a negative thought? We're not sitting here doing that all day, every day. And so we don't realize all this inner work that's taking place underneath the surface. Mm-hmm. And so the biggest thing is understanding that, like, as men, most of us don't know who we are alone. We don't know who we are on our own. We don't know if we're real social. We don't know what hobbies we actually like. We don't know exactly what makes us feel fulfilled. Like, a lot of men will just be hiking one day and they'll look out at all the grand nature around them like, oh my God, I freaking love this. This is freaking awesome, man. This makes me feel energized and happy. That's when you know you're in the right place. And that's the problem, is most men don't know how to gauge their feelings. Women do. Women do that all the time. But men don't really know how to gauge that. They don't know, like, okay, well, when I'm out fishing, I feel really relaxed and at ease. When I'm up in the mountains, I feel really relaxed and at ease. Finding that stuff out and then taking time out to do those things is what we're talking about here. That's exactly what you're trying to figure out. Like, I don't know what you like or how you cope. Everybody's different. And so it's up to you to figure that out. That's exactly what our program is. It's rails to help you stay on track so that you can figure out who you are on your own, so that you feel secure being who you are. And then when you go into the next relationship, you bring all that with you. And then you don't ever let it go. You protect your boundaries. You stay a whole person. You keep making time for those things. You keep doing those things. Yeah. That's the problem, is a lot of men will go from one really bad relationship immediately into another bad relationship as the same person. They didn't work on themselves. And so they end up with the same result again and again and again. And it just keeps happening. And so they think that something's wrong with them. But it's like, no, dude. You just need to focus on yourself. You just need to figure out exactly who you are on your own. Because the biggest thing, too, is understanding that most men, when they get out of a relationship and they didn't choose to end it, in most cases, they're like, oh, well, what if, I go out there and I improve myself over the next 6 months to a year. And then what if we come back together and we get back together? And a lot of men stay stuck in that cycle, too, thinking that she's going to come back to them.
Right.
You need to get out of it. You need to have an abundance mindset. You need to move on. She already moved on. You need to move on. You need a new life. You need to figure out who you are and who you really want to be and what the problems were before anyway. Like, really pay attention. Like, how did you even feel in that relationship? Did you even really like her? Did you even really like the life that you were living? Did you even really like the things that you were doing? Now's your opportunity to mold your life into exactly what you want it to be. It seems like it's falling apart. No. It's all brand new now. Now you have a whole new life in front of you, and you need to let the old one go. And that's the problem, too, is a lot of men who end up in this cycle, they go, okay, well, she's my best friend in the world. There's no way she's going to be vindictive like that, like other women are in court cases and stuff, too. But the problem is once lawyers get involved, lawyers have a different mission outside of yours. Like they completely just want to win the case. They want to get as much as possible. They don't care about you. They don't care about her. They don't care about anything. No, the whole court system could give a shit less about you and your family and how you all end up, but they have their own goals and they're going to impress them on you. And so that's the biggest problem, is the fact that, like, who you married and who you were with in that entire relationship, that's a different person once you go through a divorce. Entirely. There's no other way around it. She's going to be a different person.
Yeah, absolutely. And you brought up something. Part of what I went through too is when I was dating, I started realizing, and this is through the coach that was helping me on my inner work, the people that I was dating the type of people at the same vibration that I was, meaning they were all broken. They were going through a divorce or shitty breakups, or, they were all in the same type of vibration I was. They weren't whole. And so they were attracted to me, and yet I was attracted to them. So it took a while where I actually vowed for 6 months, and this kind of brings me up speed a little bit more towards the present. Even though it was last year, I took a vow for 6 months to not date, have sex, anything. It was part of the promise to this one coach I did, and get clarity on me, but also start realizing all of the women that I dated up until that point, some of them were married. Some of them were going through a divorce. Some of them, were just broke up with somebody. And now and so they weren't whole. They were under the same illusion that, I found my person. And it did take that while. And this is the trap men get into, like you were saying. They go from one relationship without doing any work, without figuring out what they did wrong, how they could do better in a relationship, and they mirror the exact same woman for the most part. She just looks different, but it is the same woman. If you look at most relationships guys get into, it's the same type of woman. Now, I'm not saying exactly, but I'm saying there are similarities in the person, because they're actually trying to replace their wives, when actually what they need to do is take that time, 6 months to a year, I say, figure out who you are. And if you can do that and you can do the work, you'll usually find that the next person that they're with is nothing like their wife, complete opposites. And so I started realizing that. I was like, wow, all the women I'm dating are exactly the same. They're all, for the most part, the same type of woman. And I needed to kind of break that cycle, or my attraction, the people that were orbiting to me were the same type of person. So clearly I was giving off something. I was attracting like a beacon for this. And so you want to be careful if a guy in that, especially if you're going through a divorce and you're not really doing that work. Those women that you find on Tinder or Bumble or whatever, you might inadvertently be giving off that same type of energy that you don't want to be given off, but you are, and they're attracted to it. And then now you find yourself in a relationship you never wanted to be in. So you got to be careful with that. This is one of the biggest things I help coach around is you should actually not be in a relationship for at least 6 months, but you don't want to get caught in that. I'm telling you, too many guys, they feel bad that they're in a relationship with a girl that they thought they loved, and I got to tell them they were a rebound. You just made it a fucking 2-year rebound for whatever reason. And because you didn't do the work, now, unfortunately, they hurt somebody who generally cared for them, but you need to rip that Band-Aid off because now you're not happy and you're repeating the exact same thing you just got out of your divorce with. You got to be careful with that.
The problem is it takes pieces of you with it every single time. And so the thing is like you're in one relationship that isn't working out, that's not really what you want it to be. And what you're doing is getting out of that relationship, and now you feel like there's a void. There's a hole in you, and there's just something that you need to fill it. Like it feels weird, empty. I don't like it empty. It's uncomfortable. There's just this freaking pit in me, and there's this void, and I need it filled. And so a lot of the time, like when men end up being on their own, they've never been on their own. Like they've always kind of been with somebody else. They had their mom when they were younger. They got into a relationship right out of high school. This is what happened to me. And she ended up taking care of everything. He got used to that. And then she's gone for a year. She's gone for an extended period of time. And he's just like, oh my God, like I need to cook. I need to do my laundry. I need to figure out how to get the chores done. I don't feel energized for this. I'm not motivated to do any of this shit.
Right.
I just need to go find a different girlfriend, and she needs to come in and do all that stuff for me again. So like, they just go out there and go look for another bad relationship. And then 2 years later, the same thing happens again. And it takes even more of you. Now that void's even bigger. Now that pit's even bigger. Now it feels even worse. Mm-hmm. So you go do it again. And then 2 years later, you end up right back in that situation again. And now that void is gaping. It's to a point where you don't even know who you are. You don't even know who you want to be. You're not even motivated to do anything. You have no direction, no drive anymore. And now you're just to a point where just like, you don't even know what you want to do with your life anymore. And it gets to a point where, maybe you're not even interested in living it anymore. And so that's where a lot of men end up. And that's the biggest issue because those rates are going up so drastically. And that's why men they're not initiated. They don't know exactly how to be men. They don't know exactly what they need to do. They don't know how to be good providers in a lot of cases. They don't even know why they should provide in a lot of cases. And they just don't even really know what it means to be a man anymore. They're just completely disconnected from it.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, a lot of them will take that permanent steps to temporary problems. And that's the biggest thing we want to avoid. We can't say the word, but I think everyone knows what we're talking about. You don't want to get in a position where you feel so helpless that that's your only option or that's your best option, because it's not. Just because the divorce happened, you still have kids, you still have family, they still need you. And yes, you might struggle your balls off for years because, again, the court system is not helpful to men at all. Not all the time, but I'm saying for the most part, you might have to move back home because you can't afford to live on your own. And that's self-defeating. That's an ego thing for men. You got to keep moving forward. I know it sounds simple, keep moving forward. We always say that. But what are your options? If your option is to give up permanently, you've actually made it worse for your kids. You made it worse for your family that loved you. And there's this burden now that they have to carry, this guilt that they have to carry that you created. So if you are in that position where maybe you're thinking about having these thoughts, please jump on a call with me. I don't care if it's 4:00 in the morning. I'll jump on the call with you. Chase will we'll jump on the call.
Absolutely.
But this is the biggest thing that we want to avoid because it does get better. It's been 8 years since my divorce, maybe a little bit longer. Yeah, it does get better. you can grow from it. My divorce, it taught me a lot. And subsequently after the divorce, God rest her soul, she passed away. Nobody wanted that, but that even taught me more. Now I was really alone. I didn't have my wife. Now I don't have the mother of my children to help me raise kids. That's even worse. Like, now you're really alone. And so I've been there, I've done that, I've got the t-shirt, and I'm willing to help you, even just listening to you, even just being that ear for you. If that's something that you just want to talk about, man, get on our website. We have a live chat widget. We'll take care of you. I mean, I don't want you guys
Absolutely.
to think all these guys are just all about money and all that. No. This is kind of where it's very important to me, because men are doing this at alarming rates, and right around 40 all the way up to about 55 is kind of the new age group that this is happening. And you would think, being older, you're a little bit more mature, you've kind of gotten those emotions out. No, that's the biggest age group that's happening. So I'm in that age group. I'm 48, and if you're in a dark place, please jump on the chat widget, say I need to talk to somebody, jump on our thing. You don't even have to give us your name. Just give us a way we can contact you.
Well, and that's the thing, is like you're lost in the dark, man. Like you just got to get out of the woods. You got to get above the trees so that you can see everything for what it is. I mean, it feels like everything is cold and dark when you're going through this. And there's almost nothing that anybody can say that's going to make anybody in that situation feel better. But the thing that you have to realize is the biggest casualty in all of this is the happy life that you have on the other side. And there is a happy life waiting for you on the other side. You got to realize that life does go on, and life will get better for you. It absolutely will. There's no way it's going to stay that way forever. And I know when you're in the moment, it feels like forever.
Yeah.
And it's going to continue to feel like forever. It's uncomfortable, and it sucks. And we've all got to go through it. We've all got to heal as we go through it. And it takes time. And it just takes time. And there's going to be days when you're feeling mundane, when you're just not feeling it, when you're just not motivated, when you're just completely down in the dumps. And that's when you need a support group more than ever. That's really when you need that one-on-one support from somebody who's just going to sit down with you and talk you through it, or just listen to you. And sometimes that's all these guys really need, is somebody to listen. Like, they feel like they're alone, they're isolated, nobody's listening to them, nobody's on their side. That's exactly what this support group is for.
Yeah.
So that you can jump in here and you can talk to us. We're here to listen, and we care, and we'll listen to you, and we'll try to help you through it the best we can. We'll try and coach you through it. We'll try and give you direction. We'll try and make sure that we're there helping you be accountable, and we're there for you every single day. That's what it takes to get out of this, man. Like, it sucks, because a lot of guys, like I said, didn't choose this. They didn't choose to be in this situation. Even the guys that did choose the divorce, they chose it because they're usually with somebody who they just can't stand, who they just can't bear to be around. And a lot of the time, like, most of these guys are just broken. They just are. Women outside of a divorce, they're not broken. In most cases, they're not feeling broken. They're not feeling shattered. They're not feeling like their whole life just crashed around them. That's why this is so much harder for men, because almost every single man that finds himself in this situation feels like he just lost in his entire life. He just lost a piece of himself, and he just wants it back. He wants to know what he could have done better that could have led to a better life for him. Because he was living his life, and he was cool, and he was fine. And then all of a sudden it all just crashed down around him, and now he doesn't even know who he is anymore.
Yeah. I get it. That's kind of how I felt, man. So if you guys are on, if you just want somebody to talk to, we are going to come up with probably more of a structured course around this. We're definitely going to get some group coaching on this. You guys can participate in. Maybe you've just been dropped with separation papers. Yeah. And so we're going to create a group specifically on that and talk to you guys about it. There are some, what's the best word for it? There are some things that you guys should be aware. And I'm going to give you them real quick, just because we got 10 minutes left.
Yeah.
Because this is what trips up guys is if you're in a divorce where you got served papers by a process server or what have you, time is ticking. You need to find a good attorney. Don't just blow it off and call her. The worst thing you can do is start creating contact where it's conceived or considered that you're harassing her, blowing her up, texting her, all of this stuff. Because bet your ass her attorney's like, start recording all of this. Because if you have kids at all with them and you're just emotional because you're going to be, you just got served papers, or maybe it's a couple days, you haven't seen the kids are gone, and you're starting to over pursue her, it's called harassment. And she's going to use it against you, with the attorney's going to use it against you to get your visitation drastically reduced because now you're a threat. Don't do that. The same thing goes when you do a breakup. No contact. Do not contact her at all. Contact an attorney. If you want to know where your kids are, of course, you can let it be known, hey, I'm just looking, are you guys safe? We're the kids. We're fine. We're at my mom's. Fine. Start communicating the best you can with an attorney. You create no contact with her at all, as best as you can. I'm telling you, some of the guys that I coach, when they went the other way, they were great fathers. They really were. And now they have visitation maybe once a month or once every other weekend. And sometimes it's supervised because they went unhinged and all this. No contact. It's the same way with going through a breakup. Do not contact her. You get slapped with the divorce. Okay. Contact an attorney. Actually, contact a few of them. Talk to a few of them. Go through the case. See which one can work with you on payments. Some of them don't need the money right up front. They'll work with you on payments. But get in contact with an attorney. There's a ton of paperwork involved, especially I'm up here in New York State. There's just an ass ton of paperwork you have to fill out. And an asshole attorney, which she probably will have, is going to paper you left and right because they're going to want to know where all your money is. Don't ignore those. Get up with your attorney, answer all of those affidavits, answer all those on time. You want to look as responsible as possible. They're going to try to make you look not responsible at all. She will get full custody. 99% of the time, she's going to get custody of the kids. Don't even fight it. You're wasting your money. Unless she's a crackhead or killed somebody, she's going to get it. So don't even fight that battle. Work on a visitation schedule that works with your schedule and with hers and for the benefit of the children. There's going to be, a lot more money that you're going to have to fork over, especially if you're the one who makes most money. Be prepared to pay her attorney at least a portion of his or her bill. It's stupid. She's the one that filed, yet you have to pay her attorney to fuck you. But that's life. That's why I say just don't get married.
That's the problem. Is like, you just have to. You just have to do it, and you just got to kind of reframe it and go, okay, well, I've got to pay the child support. I've got to pay for half of everything for the kids. I've got to pay her attorney some money. We've got to do this. Just do it. Just reframe it.
You got to get.
You're paying for your new life. That's exactly what it is.
You're paying for your new life, and it is not fair. Most of the time, it's not fair. But again, we're men. Life isn't fair for us at all, and so just another layer you got to put on.
There's an endless amount of money out there, though. That's the thing, is you got to realize that, like, you got to have that abundance mindset. If you had a job right now, like, go start a side gig, man. Like, you got to occupy yourself anyway. Like, if I'm going through this myself, I'm going to hit the gym like a beast. That I'm going to go take out all my frustration at the gym because, like, I can't contact her. I can't talk to her. All the thoughts that I'm having, all the things that didn't get said, all the things that I really wanted to say, I can't say any of it. I can't do any of it. And I can't sit there and think that stuff either. I got to get it out of my head. And so I got to get occupied. I got to go, go fishing. I got to go for a hike. I got to go to the gym. I've got to go do other things. And a lot of the time for me, I'm an entrepreneur. And so, like, I'm always, okay, what business can I work on? What can I do? What can I build right now that's really going to make the most meaningful impact and take my brain somewhere else?
Yeah.
And so that's the biggest thing, is understanding that you've got to get your head somewhere else, because if you keep it there focused on her, you're going to say something that's you're going to regret. And they're building a case against you. Every single thing you do, every single thing you don't do, whoever your new girlfriend is, wherever you hang out now, whoever your new friends are, every time you miss a certain date on something, every single time you don't fill out a paper properly, like every little thing, they're going to use it all against you. So realize like, okay, just be on top of it, be on time, keep your head somewhere else, and just eliminate all contact. That's going to be that's the best thing that you can do, because that's going to keep her from weaponizing the children. And once they start weaponizing the children, that's when we're starting to get into murky waters where things really start to get brutal. And even in the best circumstances, that can happen. And so you've got to realize, okay, we need to be all about the kids. Jointly, we need to be all about the kids. And we need to make sure that the kids aren't feeling any of this. We need to make sure that we're taking care of them and realize their lives are being uprooted here too. It's not just you. It's not just her. You're uprooting everybody's life. You're breaking the whole family apart. And obviously that's going to have a lot of anguish on those kids. A lot of these parents in these situations don't think about what this is doing to the kids. It's not good for the kids. I can tell you, I've been a child in that situation. And it's not fun. It's not cool. Like you move into a whole new house and now I got to have this person here when I'm trying to visit my dad, whatever, it's weird for the kids and they don't deserve it. They didn't choose this. They don't want to be in this situation. Don't lean on your kids either. Like, don't sit there and tell them things about their mom, their dad, whatever. Leave the kids out of it. Just leave the kids entirely out of it and just make sure they're okay. Make sure they're feeling okay through this whole thing. That's going to be one of the major things here.
That's what I was going to talk about. Yeah. Big one.
Yeah.
Because the kids are huge part of it too. Don't even ask your kids, how's mom doing? What's she doing? Because your kids, they might have seen something. They might have seen Uncle Tim, coming out of, and they're going to blurt it out and now you're going to lose your shit. So you'd rather just not know anything. Don't ask your kids. Don't put them in a position where they have to tell you something innocently or put you in a position where they have to lie to you. Just don't do that. And obviously don't give the attorneys and the judges any ammunition to use against you. And this is what happens in the very beginning of divorces. And this is why it's very good to get an attorney, but to actually pay somebody like me, who I've worked with people who just got filed or just got served. And I probably saved them thousands and thousands of dollars because I've been through the process and I said, well, we're not going to do this. We're not going to engage emotionally. This is a business. Think of it as a divorce. It is a business. You have to take your emotions completely out of it. You're dissolving a business.
Everybody's life's got to go on.
Minus. So think about just like, okay, we're dissolving a business. She has to get certain, privileges from the business. I have to get certain. We have kids. You're dissolving assets. That's all you're doing. Keep your emotions out of it as best you can. As soon as you get your emotions involved in it, to a point where you're getting very angry, to a point you're getting very needy and possessive to her, that's what they want you to do. They want you to do that so they can get the courts and they get basically the dogs, the police after you and start papering up to make you look like a bad person.
And they will.
They will. Oh, they will.
That's the thing too, is though there's the other side to that too, though. And most men, I think, end up in this court where they just completely take an entirely passive role altogether. Like they're just like, you know what, do whatever you want, take the house, I'll see the kids on my visitation. So they just don't even do anything. They don't even go get the lawyer. They don't fight anything. They just completely don't even want to fill out the paperwork. They just want to be done with it and just move on. Yeah. That's not a good place to be either, because she's gonna take everything. Those lawyers are gonna get every single thing, and they're also gonna use that as evidence that you weren't doing anything and that you were just completely passive the whole time. And then they're gonna start framing you that way. He doesn't even care about his kids. He doesn't even care about that. See, he's not even here. And so basically, they start doing that stuff too. So you got to be careful. It's a fine line. Yeah, you've got to make sure you submit everything on time. You've got to make sure you're not passive, but you've also got to make sure that you're not emotional. And you've got to make sure that you limit just the bare bones amount of contact. You contact through attorneys until it's all over. Once the divorce is over, the paper's signed, at that point, you can start talking about what life looks like now. But outside of that, you got to completely remain as passive, emotional, somewhere in between there as you can.
I always tell guys this, even on a breakup, if she filed a divorce, she's changing the terms of your relationship. You don't have to agree with the terms. Obviously, you have to agree with it in the sense where you can't do anything about it. It's a no fault for the most part. But you don't have to agree to her terms. You want to stay as quiet as possible, get a good attorney, and almost be almost be scary quiet. Nothing comes out of your mouth because that scares people more. They're like, what the fuck? This guy, he's up to something. And you might not be up to anything at all. You might just be living your life, not talking. That's fine. Then they start making mistakes. I know this sounds bad, but this is a game. This is a game.
The less they know, the more.
The less they know. Guys have a lot of experience around this. We have other coaches that are have some experience. If you're falling into this, and you're thinking about filing for a divorce, we could be a good source of communication for you to give you some insight on what you should do to prepare before you file. Don't just leave it up to chance that the attorneys are going to do what they got to do and the judge isn't going to be liberal, because I guarantee you it's going to be a liberal judge, probably a female, and you're going to get screwed. I'm pretty much going to guarantee it. So with that's all I got with this, guys. If you are feeling a certain way, that invitation's up 24/7. Jump on our chat widget, go to our website. That's the fastest way to get to us. Say you need to talk to somebody right away. You don't even have to give us your name. We just need a number and we can contact you.
Yep. And with that, guys, we've got a new divorce support group starting up this next month. And so if you guys want to be part of that cohort as we go through this stuff too, you guys need somebody in your court. You need somebody who's in your corner that has your interest in mind and wants the best for you, then that's going to be the best place for you to be, around other men who are going through that, around other people who are trying to vibrate higher and trying to come out above all this stuff. And so that's exactly what we're here for. Make sure you guys get into our free community where we've got free courses. We've got a course actually coming out on this next month too. And that's all free. Like I said, you'll get access to that as it comes through. And we can take the next step if you guys ever want to. And so if you guys ever need the one-on-one coaching or anything like that, we're obviously here for you guys on that. Make sure you go to our website and find out more about that stuff. But with that, that's all we have for you guys this week.
Have a good one, guys. Thank you.